out who is in the audience here and launch the poll. So please let us know. We hope these sessions are really helpful for SSAs, but certainly any county board staff, family members, people with lived experience, providers, OOD folks, any of those people, we welcome everybody to come on. So let us know who you are and
The options, I'll just read aloud in case if people are not able to see their screen. So our question in our poll is, what role are you attending as today? Service and support administrator is the first option. Other county board staff, those who are not SSAs but work for the county board. Family member, self-advocate, provider, opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities or OOD, or the Ohio Department of Developmental Disability staff, otherwise known as DODD. And if you're unable to use the poll feature for whatever reason, you're also welcome to drop in the chat.
absolutely.
I almost thought, what about guardian? Because of a guardian that's through APSI or something else.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't have an other on this one. You can always count on Lisa to change them up. You never know what is available. So, and also a lot of you come on as a professional, but a lot of you might also be a family member. So you get to pick.
Yeah.
So I'm always wearing my family member hat, even though I'm also there. So
I like to say that's when you
couple more
can't actually take
responses
off.
and then we'll get started. So I'm just going to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll because we have 90% of the people that are on right now that have answered it, and we'll get started and we'll share it when we get to that screen.
Excellent. Well, welcome everyone. You have tuned in to Fear Factor. Today's episode is on Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, and Supplemental Security Income, SSI, and we'll really dive into subsidies and work incentives. I'm going to walk us through. Oh, I guess I should introduce myself. That would be
Oh, yeah,
helpful.
we should.
My name is Ann Tapia. I'm with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, and I serve in the Community Life Engagement Team supporting Southwest Ohio. So that's the Dayton and Cincinnati area, as well as the counties along the bottom border of the state of Ohio. Lisa, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
I would love to. I am Lisa Combs, SSA advisor, that's Service and Support Administrator advisor for the Ohio Association of County Boards. And yeah, we are on almost year 4 or 5 for this Fear Factor. And I am so thankful for everybody. So thanks for tuning in.
You will get a chance to hear from our additional panelists in just a moment, or see who all they are in a moment, but I'm going to walk us through our agenda for our time together today. So this initial opening piece, we're doing our introductions and kind of laying the groundwork for the context of why we have Fear Factor and what we intend to do, the purpose of these webinars. And then we'll dive in deep with our excellent presenters today. For the bulk of our time, from 1:15 to 2:15, you'll have our overview of SSDI and SSI, focused on that subsidies and work incentives. And then we will wrap up with a factile game, which is very similar to a Jeopardy game. And then we'll have some Q&A and talk about our next episode. So we already launched the poll. Lisa, what are the results?
Yay! All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share the results then based on the first folks that came into the meeting. We have some good numbers. So just so you all can see it, and if you can't see it, we have about 72% of the people in the audience are service and support administrators. Another 18% are county board staff, but not potentially SSAs. So that brings us up to 90%. And then of course we are so thankful we have 1% family member, yay. Nobody identified themselves as a person with lived experience or a self-advocate. And we do have 8% providers. So I love that. Thank you for the providers that are in the room listening to this, because you are very important to this work and getting the word out. And then of course we do have folks from the Ohio Department of DD, and other than our panelists, nobody's identifying as OOD. So all right, we have that is our poll results. I will stop sharing those. Oops. And
Always helpful to see who is here in the audience, especially as we think about what we're covering today in the context of why you all are plugging into these. So Lisa, you want to talk a bit about background?
I absolutely do. So a couple things. Before I get into that, I just want to remind everybody again that the chat is open. You can comment on anything that we're talking about, say hi to people. I see we got Mahoning County and other people chatting in there. There will be opportunities where you can put things in there, but we also have Q&A right down at the bottom of your screen. You'll see the little speech bubble with a question mark. If you have a specific question for the presenters, please put your questions in the Q&A. And if you see somebody else's question that you like, there's the ability to give it a thumbs up and say, yeah, that was my question too, or that's a great question, so that we can prioritize which questions that we are answering. Obviously, a lot of times we don't have time to answer every question, and this is a very detailed, tough topic. So we may have to follow up after the fact, or you can follow up after the fact with us, and you'll hear more about that today. But we are looking for kind of more broad questions, not specific to a certain case, because certainly can't do that on a meeting in these kind of numbers. Also, if you're here and you want continuing education, we have CPDUs for SSAs only. I know I've had a few providers ask me for some kind of documentation of that. If you reach out to me separately after the fact, I can show that you attended, and you sometimes can still ask for that and use that to keep records, but I have not asked for approval of any certain things for providers. So CPDU notification will be emailed out tomorrow for SSAs that are on the call. All right. Fear factor. Why are we here? What are we doing? This came about a few years back where we just were talking amongst some folks about what are the big blockers to community employment? And what we came up with was that people are really afraid of losing their benefits. And Christine Brown was certainly one of those people that I was talking with, along with Keith Banner, who was our initial leader from the Department of DD in this group. And we said, wow, I really think people are scared about that. So we kind of said, maybe we should just do like a fear factor. What do you do to confront your fears? You just confront them, right, Christine? You're like, you just got to do it. You got to find out. So how do we confront our fears about losing benefits when working? And the way to do that, we decided, was with facts. There's so much information, and that's why we have these experts here. And we really need to learn the facts that are specific to the case, to each personal case, because they're all different. And then given the facts, we can start evaluating what makes sense for everybody. And there's many ways for people to work and still maintain benefits. So that's what's good. Once you have the facts and you evaluate, that leads to action and being able to take care of what you need to so that you can continue working. And then the results obviously are hopefully more people community employed and making more money, both through benefits and or through work. So that's how we
I
came up
can
with Fear
say
Factor. And that's
I
why we're
could
here.
say that I'm dealing with the case right now, and I'm even getting the Department of Medicaid to be educated because they didn't apply certain deductions that are supposed to be calculated, even if some of these staff have worked 20 years. It's like you have to get with the time. This isn't 1980.
Yeah,
So
that's a
the
good
thing
point,
is,
Christine. It's not
we
just,
have to be up with the time.
that's right. This is not just about educating people served or with lived experience and their families. It's about educating everybody that supports them, including the Department of Medicaid, the Department of DD, SSAs. Like, everybody needs to learn because it's always changing. So
And a lovely segue. We recognize that it is all of us who need to use the data and the facts to move our system forward. So we just want to call out that we often have a good number of SSAs, and we're grateful today you all are here again, as well as job seekers, people who are employees with developmental disabilities and their families and supporters, and all of the rest of the folks that we recognize we probably need to include in our poll as an other in a better way. So we'll do that next time. But we need to do that so we can face our fears about the benefits and working, and how we do that in an intentional way so we move forward with facts and confidence. So I know there are some of you who are so excited about past episodes and you're wondering, where do I find them? Well, don't you worry. You can binge watch all of the episodes. If you want to go back in time, they're all linked on the Ohio Employment First website, which we'll drop in the chat here momentarily. And there is included in that some handouts. We'll post those after this recording, and some one-pagers where we have a document of just, here are some helpful links that you might want to dive deep into as you binge watch all of our past episodes. We try to pack in as much information as we can in these. So now we want to know what you know right now. So we're going to launch our second poll as Lisa's getting that up. I will read out our question. So we want to know how much. Oh, sorry, Lisa.
That's okay. Rest assured, I messed up this one too, but go ahead and read it. Disregard the number 2 untitled question. Just answer number 1 and move on.
So, your number 1 question that you're answering, how much do you know about SSI and SSDI prior to today? So your options are, I know nothing about SSI and SSDI. Help me. Second option, I have heard of SSI and SSDI, but I don't know much about it. Third option, I consider myself somewhat knowledgeable about SSI and SSDI, or I know as much as the presenters on this topic, which I would not answer that one, that's for sure.
I love the people that are answering number 2 and 3 that have nothing. You're amazing. Don't worry. I'm just watching number 1 and how those numbers are coming in. But I told these guys I was trying to edit the poll at the last minute, and sure enough, I edited it all right. So it's all right. And we'll get a couple more answers.
I wonder if it forces people to plug an answer in before they can submit.
I don't think it does, because only 5% answered it. I'll just end the poll once I have close to 90%. So yeah. All right, here we go. We got 87. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So let's look and see who you're with in your audience. We've got 2% of the people are out there saying, I know nothing about it. Wow. And that's okay, because we're glad you're here. That's the most, that's honest and totally understandable from the crowd that we have. Then we have about 43% of the folks are saying, yes, I've heard of it, but I don't really know that much. We have 55% who are thinking, I'm pretty knowledgeable about it, which is nice. I'm glad. Hopefully it's because you've been back so many times, and we love that you're here. And nobody had the guts to say that they knew as much as we do about it. And so that's okay. You just all are learning that we suck you in to be a presenter if you say that. So good for you guys. And thanks to Britt McGuire from Claremont County. She's putting in the link for us. So Britt, you're the best.
They actually just sent that to us, but that is okay. We'll drop it in we'll add it. There you go. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And I will say that link will take you out to another helpful resource, which includes DB 101. So thank you for pointing people to that, and then click in a little bit further to get to the fear factor. Okay, so today's episode, we have some amazing superstars who will dive deep with you about SSI and SSDI. So they'll each unmute here in a moment, but just so you know who they are, Kim Bernardi is the Quality Support Specialist with Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Jeannie is with the Work Incentives a Work Incentives Consultant with Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. Libby Grove is an Employment Navigator with the Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and Latasha Olinger is with Warren County Board of Developmental Disabilities as a Work Incentives Coordinator. And thank you to each of our panelists today for being part of our show. But we can't possibly do this without some amazing production team behind the scene. You may hear from some of these additional folks in the chat. You might see some of us with our cameras on as we are going through today's presentation. So we just wanted to kind of give the behind the scenes look at who else is helping out to make these possible.
It takes a village, Anne. That's my thing. I'm like, that way Anne and I don't panic if you guys ask a question or we don't have a presenter can't go, because we have all these people supporting us.
How much are you going to make me sweat during this next hour and a half? All right, so on with the show. We will pass it over to Libby to get us started.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Elizabeth Grove, and I am the Employment Navigator for Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and I will be kickstarting us off on the topics of Social Security Disability Insurance, also known as SSDI, and Supplemental Security Income, also known as SSI, work incentives. So, today's agenda, once again, we're going to be reviewing the two different benefits a person can receive, SSDI, SSI, the differences between the two of them, how earnings can affect disability benefits, and the different work incentives when receiving one or the other of this type of benefits that are offered, that can be offered, as well as the future SSDI eligibility and when and how to report your your earned income. Just to reiterate, we welcome questions at the end, but they need to be more specific or more broad questions. And then for those more nitty-gritty that are specific to your case for your loved one or yourself, that's something that would need to be taking place at a different time and not today during the webinar. All right, so for SSDI, there are a few different types of qualifications benefits with this specific benefit. The first one being disability insurance benefits, also known as Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI. This is payable to workers insured under the Act. There's childhood disability benefits, CDB, previously called DAC, payable to a disabled adult child of an insured worker who is retired, disabled, or deceased. The child must have a disabling condition that began prior to the age of 22. The entitlement cannot begin until they have turned 18 years of age. Then there's a disabled widower's benefit. This is payable to the widow, widower, or surviving divorced spouse of an insured worker. The widow, widower, or surviving divorced spouse must be at least age 50. Be disabled before the end of a specified period of time, called the prescribed period, and meet additional requirements regarding the relationship to the worker and the length of time between the worker's death and the application. So for SSI, which is supplemental, to be eligible for SSI, an individual must be aged at least 65 or disabled or blind with limited income and resources. This means tested into the program, not based on prior work experience. A disabled or blind child under the age of 18 may be eligible as well. In addition, to get SSI, you must also be either a U.S. citizen or national or qualified alien, reside in one of the 50 states, the District of Columbia, or the Northern Mariana Islands, and then not be absent from the U.S. for a full calendar month or 30 or more consecutive days. So here are the differences between SSDI and SSI. For SSDI, benefits are based on earnings of a worker. They're financed by an employer, a wage earner contributions, also known as FICA, no income or resource limits, must have appropriate number of credits depending on age of disability onset, Medicare eligible 2 years from date of entitlement, benefit amount based on average lifetime earnings, and established monthly benefit changes only with annual cost of living adjustments or COLA or additional earnings. So that's for SSDI. For SSI, the qualifications are different. So that is needs-based, financed by general tax revenue, income and resource limits to apply, no work credits required. Medicaid automatic. Benefit amount is based on the annual federal benefit rate or FBR, and monthly benefit changes annually and fluctuates with countable earnings. So for the year of 2025, the FBR or the federal benefit rate for an individual, the most they can earn from SSI is $967 a month. And if they are a couple for the year of 2025, it is $1,450 is the highest amount in this benefit a couple can receive.
Okay, hi, I'm Kim Bernardi. I'm with Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities. We're going to talk a little bit about trial work period, extended period of eligibility, and substantial gainful activity. So this is for somebody who's on SSDI benefits and they're working. Somebody can work and earn up to $16.20 a month gross before they hit substantial gainful activity. But Social Security looks at first at the trial work period, which is 9 months. You can earn, if you earn more than $1,160 a month of earned income, you've met a trial work period. You could do 9 months trial work period, does not have to be consecutive months. So once you hit that 9th month of making over $1,160 gross earned income, you have finished your trial work period. And then you go into what's called the extended period of eligibility. Social Security looks at for 36 additional months. Anytime in this extended period of eligibility, you go over substantial gainful activity, the 620 earned income a month, you will not get your Social Security check for that month. If you go under SGA during that extended period of eligibility, you'll get your Social Security check for that month, your SSDI check. Then after the 36 month of extended period of eligibility, they give you a couple month grace period. And then once you hit SGA outside of that period, you lose your Social Security check altogether. So there's some things that can maybe be done to see how we can lower your substantial gainful activity, your earned income, even though you're still earning the income. So next we're going to go and we're going to discuss some subsidies. Okay, what a subsidy is, you can use this after the trial work period is completed. Okay, it could be, what it basically is an employer could deem a subsidy for you. You could be earning $10 an hour, or making $10 an hour, but you're only earning $6 an hour. And so, because examples are, you might be getting extra supervision at work, you might have less duties than somebody without a disability, special accommodations that your employer gives you, adjust your work schedules and your duties. So Social Security will allow for a subsidy. There's a form that the employer would fill out and determine how much of that $10 an hour are you earning based off of somebody else without the disability, and they have to look at the whole job description. So if I'm only doing 70% of that job description, they're going to give me a 30% subsidy. And then the 30% subsidy, that amount of money will come off of my earned income amount, and that's what Social Security will count towards my earned income, and it'll bring me below substantial gainful activity. On the next slide, there's an actual example. Okay, so this individual, this again, substantial gainful activity is $16.20 a month gross earned income. This person has SSDI of $900 a month. They earn $1,800 a month gross earned income from work. They already did their trial work period. So now they're subject to losing their Social Security benefit of $900 a month. So the employer fill out the subsidy form. It's actually form SSA 3033. You can get it on the socialsecurity.gov website under forms. This person got a 30% subsidy. It means they're only earning 70% of their gross earned income. So Social Security will look at the $1,800 that you're earning. They'll times it by the 30% of your subsidy and take off $540 from your earned income. So that's $1,800 minus $540 equals $1,260 a month earned income. So Social Security is only going to count your $1,260 a month earned income. You're still going to bring home your $1,800 a month gross earned income, but they're only going to count the $1,260 because you're receiving a subsidy. Now you're below substantial gainful activity, and you keep your $900 a month Social Security check. You could also, we can look at impairment related work expenses to bring your income below SGA. Okay, trial work, after trial work period's complete, it's monies that you spent on things so you can go to work. For instance, you paid for an aide to help you an hour before work and an hour after work to get ready for work. You paid cash for that out of your own pocket. You paid for your own non-medical transportation to and from work. Anything as far as work-related expenses that you paid cash for out of your own pocket. It not anything the waiver paid or Medicaid paid. It's something that somebody paid out of their own pocket. So we're going to go, and it also helps with SSI. So we're going to go to the next slide and look at some of the calculations and the examples. Okay, so for impairment-related work expense for SSDI only, again, SGA is $1,620 a month gross earned income. This person's receiving $900 a month SSDI. This individual's earning $1,600 gross a month. Well, they're under SGA, but I guess I missed that calculation. So let's just say they're doing $1,700 a month. So they're in jeopardy of losing their Social Security check. Their impairment-related work expense is $300 a month. So they're spending $300 a month to get their own transportation to and from work out of their own pocket. So $1,700 a month minus $300 a month is $1,400 a month. That's below substantial gainful activity. And you submit those to the Social Security office. For somebody with SSI benefits, you get some of that money back in your SSI check. So for instance, this person receives $967 a month. Well, they could be receiving $967 a month SSI benefits because that's the maximum amount. This individual's earnings is $806 a month gross. They're paying $200 a month for their own transportation, so that's an impairment-related work expense. So Social Security takes the $806 of your gross earned income, and they have an $85 exclusion. So that's $721 of your earned income so far that they're counting. Then they take the $721 minus your $200 impairment-related work expense. So far that's $521 a month of your earned income Social Security is going to use to calculate your SSI check. So then Social Security next takes the $521, they divide it by 2, and that's $260.50. Social Security then takes the $967 of the maximum SSI rate minus the income that they're counting is $260.50. So that equals the SSI check for that month would be $706.50. So that individual will get $706.50 from an SSI check and still have their $806 of earned income. If they didn't have an impairment-related work expense, the SSI would be $100 less. It'd be $606.50. So this individual paid $200 towards transportation, but they got $100 of it back in the SSI check. Thank you. Next.
Thanks, Kim. Now, everyone, we're going to kind of go over some information that we wanted to make sure you guys were aware of for individuals that's on SSI and SSDI in the event that they lose their benefit due to work income. So the expedited reinstatement allows a previously entitled SSDI or SSI beneficiary who benefits were terminated due to work earnings request expedited reinstatement if their medical condition no longer prevents them from performing substantial gainful activity. And that SGA amount is what Kim had previously said, $1,620 gross per month for 2025. Please keep in mind the request must be submitted within 5 years from the date that the benefit had ended. And the person must be still medically disabled from the same or related disability that they were awarded Social Security benefits. If the person qualified for EXR, they may get up to 6 months of temporary payments while Social Security evaluates if they still meet the qualification for disability benefits. For SSDI beneficiaries approved for EXR, they will get a new entitlement of child work period and extended period of eligibility, which occurs 24 months after payments. This is called the initial reinstatement period. In addition to some additional work incentives that's available for SSI work incentives. This is called a blind work expense. It's different than impairment related work expense, but it's very similar at the same time. But the deductions are different. So for example, for a blind work expense, an individual can deduct their federal, state, and local taxes, their transportation to and from work, any dues or fees such as license, union dues, vehicle modifications, work-related training, guide dog expenses, visual and sensory aids, translation materials into Braille, medical equipment or supplies that help an individual work, attendant care services, meals consumed during work hours, and therapy. So as you can see, the blind work expense have a whole slew of items that can be deducted that the impairment related work expense does not include. So just keep that in mind for an individual that's on SSI and meets the qualifications for a blind work expense. Next slide, please. The next work incentive I would like to go over under SSI is one of my favorite ones. It's called the student earned income exclusion. So this allows individuals under age 22 who are regularly attending school to exclude work earnings from their income when Social Security is determining their SSI payment. So information regarding full-time school enrollment must be submitted to Social Security for the student earned income exclusion to apply. Regular attending school means that the individual is in college or university for at least 8 hours a week under a semester or quarter, in grades 7 through 12 for at least 12 hours a week, or in a training course to prepare for employment for at least 12 hours a week, 15 hours a week if the course involves shop practice, or in homeschool situation, grades 7 through 12 for at least 12 hours per week in accordance with the homeschool law for that state which the student resides. Also, in the event that someone is ill, it could be less. So for students that are not able to attend due to the illness, they will take that in consideration as well. In 2025, an individual can exclude up to $2,350 gross per month from the student earned income exclusion, and up to $9,460 annually. So the exclusion itself, a lot of individuals that I've worked with that met this qualification did not have their SSI reduced at all because of the large amount that can be excluded. So this is the reason why it's one of my favorites, because students can save money for different things that they're looking for, trying to get I know for me, when I was in high school, a car was one of the things that I was so much interested in getting. So this allows individuals to save that money in order to get that car or other things that they're looking to buy as a student. Next slide, please. So one of the things we wanted to share with you guys is a way to request that student earned income exclusion. Just keep in mind, this is not a standard Social Security form or anything like that. This is just something to show you an example of how you can submit a request to have the student earned income exclusion applied. So that example is there. I just wanted to make sure people know to indicate their age, what school that they're enrolled in, information regarding the school, anticipated completion date, the name of their employer, and the estimated amount of money that they're going to make during that time frame, and provide their personal information in the event that Social Security needs to contact them. So right here, I have an example of how a student earned income exclusion can be applied for individuals that's on SSI. So the example here states that a young lady named Jennifer is 20 years old. She's a student. She's receiving $967 per month in SSI and starts working in June at a local retail store. She has no prior earnings during the year, and she has no unearned income. Jennifer works full-time and earns $1,600 a month in June, July, and August. In September, when she returns to school, Jennifer continues to work, but she reduces her hours to part-time because obviously it's hard for her to hold a full-time job and be a full-time student. So she reduced her hours to part-time. At that point, she's earning $800 a month in September, October, November, and December. Jennifer's countable income for June through December would be determined as indicated below. So here's the example. So as you can see, in June, July, and August, her gross earnings were $1,600 a month. It's under the exclusion amount, so she's able to exclude all those earnings for those particular months and not have her SSI payment reduced at all. She used up to $4,800 during that time frame. So she now is able to still exclude additional funds later in the year. So as you can see in September, October, and November, she earned $800 per month. So during this time frame, she used up to $18,000. I'm sorry, not 18,000, 8,000 of her $9,460 yearly student earned income exclusion. So as you can see, Jennifer worked for several months, and every month all of her earnings was excluded because of the student earned income exclusion. So this exclusion is very beneficial for students to exercise their ability to work and not have any impact on their SSI benefits if they're under that student earned income exclusion. Next slide, please. And I will pass this on to Jeannie, right?
Yep. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, so something that is really important to think about for people that are receiving SSI, and I stress this a lot when I meet with individuals receiving SSI, is that as someone works, they are paying taxes. Social Security taxes are taken out of their paychecks, and so they are contributing to their future eligibility for SSDI. So for the other type of disability benefit that we talked about. So what Social Security does is they will determine once someone has worked enough to qualify for SSDI by converting your earnings into work credits. So each year there is different amounts, like everything else with Social Security. It changes yearly. So in this year, 2025, if you earn $1,810 a quarter, so the year's just divided into quarters, you receive one work credit for the year. And it's you can earn up to 4 credits per year. So the younger you are when you become disabled, the fewer credits you need to meet that requirement to be eligible for SSDI. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. It is based on age, and the younger you are, basically the fewer credits, so the less amount of work you need to build up that eligibility for SSDI. There's just an additional information there saying to be considered disabled for Social Security, you must be unable to perform SGA, so the SGA level, which we talked about previously, I know, but is this year, 2025, the non-blind SGA is $1,620 of gross earnings per month. And then if you meet the statutory blindness definition for Social Security, that limit is $2,700 per month right now. All right, so now we're going to move on to talk about wage reporting. So very important when you're receiving any type of Social Security benefit. Social Security needs to know when you're working. So reporting can be done a variety of ways. You can call, you can send your pay stubs in the mail, you can fax that information in, you can go in person to the Social Security office, or I think that what I think is the best way right now is using the My Social Security account. So when someone goes onto Social Security's website, I was actually just checking it earlier, it pops up on the very first screen right now. Like you go to ssa.gov and it will say how to create your Social Security account. So if you don't have one, follow that link and create your account. If you already have one, then you can report earnings when you're working by logging into your account. That works when you're receiving SSDI or both SSDI and SSI, which some people receive both. If you're receiving SSI, also the My Social Security account is great, but there's also an app you can download on your phone. I think a lot of people have heard about this. It's only for people receiving SSI and working, but it's called the SSA Mobile Wage Reporting app. Free app you download on your phone, And then you can use that app to report your earnings each month. Those two are really, because they're electronic and they go through the Social Security, like they go right into Social Security system. They're really the best ways to report. Okay. Was there anything else on that slide that I missed though? Can you go back real quick? I just want to make sure. Oh wait, one more. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. I think we kind of covered all these ways, but just there's some little reminders here depending on which way you report. Like for example, you want to keep your fax, cover page or transmission sheet that shows you faxed it on whichever date. Keep your ticket that you get if you go in person showing you were there on a specific date, or use the Dropbox that Social Security has. So, and then Social Security should be mailing you a receipt so that they received your information if you mail something in. Oh, and then there's also some information with the toll-free number, and if you're deaf or have a hearing impairment, you can call the TTY number listed there. Oh, one thing I will also mention about reporting that I think all of us try to tell people when we talk and have meetings about reporting is that even though, so those electronic ways of reporting are really the best way to do it, you have to talk to someone and report that you've started a job before it's going to show up as an option in those electronic methods like the app and the smartphone app and the My SSA account. So Social Security has to know that you've started a job. They will go in their system and put your that employer's name under your case. And so then once they've done that, it will permit you to use those methods of reporting. Sorry. Okay, now we can go to the next page.
Jeannie, before you go on, let me just, I did put a link to, we had a recorded session about wage reporting earlier. So I did put a link to that. Of course, things change. We try to take things out that are outdated, but if you want more information, that's certainly a link in the chat. And then also just to clarify in the Q&A, there's a quick question that just said, asking clarification around reporting SSDI in the app. Can you clarify that for them and we'll move on?
Here, let me look real quick.
It says that reporting app isn't for SSDI question mark.
Oh, yes, that's right. It's only, the app is only for SSI. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, just to clarify, that's what I figured.
Maybe in the future there'll be hopefully an option, but yes, only SSI.
All right, perfect.
But
you got
it. The My Social Security account is for both, for either or both. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay, and then this on here we're just talking about why is it so important to report earned income? Well, you could probably tell from for SSDI how Social Security is going to. How are they going to know if you've, hit the trial work level, if you've used your trial work months, if you go over SGA after that, all of that stuff we talked about, where it could affect your benefit status. There's no way of them knowing that unless you've, let them know that you're working and reported that. So, and then also for SSI, like we talked about, like Social Security is adjusting your check for SSI every single month based on those earnings. So it's very important that they know exactly how much you made. And if you don't report, if you've been reporting for a while, for example, with a job, and then you stop reporting for some reason, they don't assume that you've stopped that job. They assume that you forgot to report. And so they will just base their SSI calculation going forward on what your earnings were like the previous month or two that you did report. So I've seen that happen a lot to people where they've stopped working. Social Security continues to reduce their SSI payment because they don't know that you've stopped working if you don't actually contact them and let them know that job has ended. So reporting also prevents them from overpaying you and then sending you letters asking that you pay them back. Okay, so here is some information about how to, instructions on how to use that mobile wage reporting app. We have a link to a video. Also a link to a video about wage reporting requirements is linked here. And also there is information about how to, like, so Social Security has some information and you can sign up to have a reminder to report your wages every month. So all of these are just links that you can share with others or review yourself if you want more information about reporting. We're already at our game. I think we went kind of quickly. Is there anything anyone else wants to add about the reporting that I might have missed? Anyone else here?
No, I think Kim might want to share something out before the game.
Yes. Just about subsidies, because I wanted to share those packets for the employer. And just also so you know, the employer doesn't the only thing they benefit from if they do a subsidy for somebody is that the person just can keep working the hours that they were working. It doesn't give the employer anything else but that. So it says I can't share my screen while you're sharing.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to show you guys.
What's the name of this form, Kim?
This one is the SSA. Here, it's the SSA 3033. Can you see it? Did I share it right?
Not yet.
You can't
Might be
see it.
delayed.
Huh. Well, I'm not very tech savvy, but
That's okay. Let me make sure that one panelist can share at a time. You should be good. There you go. It's coming. Something's coming.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, this isn't quite the one oh, this is it. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't mind me. This is the SSA 3033 form. This is what the employer will fill out on the individual. So anybody can talk to the employer about this. Again, it just helps the individual keep their Social Security benefits and continue working the way they're working. So it's just information, but I wanted to show you, this is a work activity questionnaire and the employer will fill out. So like example, does the employer require additional assistance or employer accommodate to complete the job duties? Yes or no? Are they assigned fewer, easier duties? Why can't I make it go down more? Oh, I just messed that again.
You're
You guys
doing
got
great.
there with me. I'm not tech savvy.
No, you're
Okay.
doing-
Does the employer accommodate the employee by allowing them to take additional breaks and whatnot? So if you go on, there's some examples for the employer on this form. And then approximately what percentage of this employee's pay exceeds the reasonable value of the work services they perform? So this is where the employer will give them the subsidy. Okay, and then they'll sign the form, and then this form, this packet will go to Social Security office, along with, if I can share this one or unshare this one. Let me share, let me see where it's at. Not there.
You trying to share a different form or?
Yeah.
You just have to stop. Oh, is that the right one?
Did it come up?
SSA 821 BK.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this form, the individual and family or whomever needs to fill out this form about their work activity. What's the employer's name? Information about their work activity, you know, like where did they work, any of this extra pay information, the current employer, how much they're earning, previous employer's name. So I'm just going to go down about these employers. One good thing here, it talks about for any job that you told us about, is there any special conditions? So for instance, yes, I need extra help, extra supervision, or a job coach. So you put the employer name and the date that you're working there and describe what is the extra help you need. Okay, so you can put all these descriptions in there. Work irregular, fewer hours, given special equipment to work. So this is information that you will answer, the individual and the family, the SSA can help, the job coach can help, whoever can help knows the individual. So this is the form. Then you got additional space to explain the person's disability, you know, what are their limitations, what, you know, what can't they do at work, what they are doing at work, what they're receiving. So this form and the SSA 3033 needs to go to Social Security office in order for them to approve the subsidy. And
Yeah,
that's all I got.
that's really helpful, Kim. Christine, I know that's been an important topic for you, the work activity report. Do you want to add in? Actually, I think that was the reason why we started the fear factor, was you were struggling with that topic.
Well, the thing is that for me and others, I have a subsidy because this job was sort of modified into my skills. Okay, still have the same title and some, but also do some things that are different from others.
Mhm.
Like I'm the one who more they come to when it comes to reading stuff for clear language. That and so I have a 50% disregard and I'm considered blind. I can say to you that they need to know that if you want to see that you whenever people are having raises, everyone questions, am I going to have to reduce my hours because I'm getting these raises? And that's technically no, because it goes through adjusting. It adjusts each year 90%, unless we were in a recession. Then we had no COLA for 1 year, okay? But the thing is, we really feel that a lot of parents of seventh graders and junior 14 and older need to learn about this, so before the son or daughter is starting to go for the work, that they know this straightforward, because then they can't say won't have my son or daughter work because they're going to lose their benefits. No, here's the cheat sheet. And so we really want to see that people have transportation. The only thing is, in everybody's case is separate, but if somebody uses transportation, paying for their own gas for their job, but then gets reimbursed if they work for the state made up words, then that's not where they can really count it as early, because they
Right.
get reimbursed from the state. Okay.
Right. So
That's
I
a whole
think,
different
Christine,
case.
you're answering Angela's question
I'm
about when paying for
sorry.
things like, it's perfect. It's a great segue. Angela's question in the Q&A was when talking about paying for things like transportation and assisting with getting ready for work, can you only write this off if they pay for the services privately, or if they can write it off if a waiver pays for it? So I just want to be clear.
The waiver, if it's paying out of a waiver, you can't have it be covered.
That's
Now,
right.
if you had money going out of your checking account or stuff to pay for Uber, and it's not out of your waiver, okay, then you can count that because you're paying out of your own money.
Correct.
So
And I think,
that's the difference. And so we know that there's a lot of folks that are still under question about going for jobs. I know from what you said, Latasha, I think it was you, or unless it's that about the student earned income disregard. You know what I feel they need to do one day? They need to stop thinking of this 22 and under, because they're saying everywhere all over the United States, go for a job training program and you might be 50. Okay.
that's right. Students are all ages, aren't they, Christine?
Yeah,
You're
I'm
right.
like, they need to get rid of that age restriction. Maybe they have a time limit restriction, but not age restriction. Okay. Like if you used it for 6 years, then you have to be off of it for 10 or 15,
Whatever. Well,
whatever.
that is a We
You
will
got some
definitely
great
talk about
ideas
that. Right
there,
now,
right.
it's set up
Listen,
22 and
sorry.
under, but I like it.
No, you're
Just
fine.
one
It
quick
just-
question, and we're going to move to Factile. Natalie
Uh,
asked, does it matter how long
Carol
a
said
person
I agree, Christine.
does it matter how long a
Sorry.
person has worked at their job? Does anybody as far as I'm assuming they're talking about with work incentives? I don't Latasha, can you answer that,
Yeah.
or you're
If
just
it's regarding, yeah, no, you're fine. If it's regarding how long, no, there's no time limit. You can use it from the first month that you're working there 10 years later. And it's from the month that you actually pay for the expense. Or if it's a one-time expense, you would obviously the month that you pay for that expense that you would submit that work incentive to be applied.
Awesome.
So
All right, and then we have one
anytime.
other question that we're going to get to maybe later or reach out directly. But for now, we're going to move so we have time to do some of our Jeopardy that's going to hit home some of the really big kind of issues that we want y'all to remember. So bear with me. It's a new app. It's really called Factile. So I need to make sure I have it ready to go.
Lisa,
And
while you're preparing that, is it okay if
Mhm.
I share? When it comes
Absolutely.
to the work activity report, just keep in mind that is something that Social Security going to send when it's time to do like a work review. Or if someone is currently applying for benefits and they're working, then that they may request that work activity report to be completed. And then the work questionnaire will be done when someone is obviously, if they're earning over the SGA limit, you will want to get that submitted. If the employer is not willing or able to complete it, because I know some employers may have, stipulations on what they can complete. Then if there's like a job coach that's involved or another employment support provider involved, and they are very aware of the supports that someone may receive in employment, they can also complete that work activity questionnaire as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Latasha.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to switch gears. And since Latasha was well, no, I'm going to go to Christine. Christine, we're going to have you kick off this game. And so here we are. This is just a normal Jeopardy game. It's got some great kind of core questions to help you remember what's important to remember out of this. And we'd like your interaction. So Christine's going to kick it off and pick a topic. And then the first, I'll look at the chat box, and the first couple people to answer the question correctly then they get to pick the next topic. So let's try to see if we can get you guys, see how smart you all are. So Christine, which topic would you like? Which number you want? Pick the
Subsidy or special condition 300.
Oh, she's a Jeopardy queen. All right, let's see what the question is. Oh, nope, we already messed up. That's not in the play mode. Here we go. Hold on. Up. My bad. I thought I had it in play mode, but I don't. Here we go. We're going to be watermelons today. We're going to begin. Okay. Subsidy for 300, right?
Yes.
All right. Oh, got to turn down my music. Here we go. Job coaching is an example of this. So what would be the answer for this? And you can make that job coaching is an example of this. Timothy, if you can answer to everyone so people can see. There we go, Britt. It says yes, but you're not. Oh, there we go, Carrie Griffin. Carrie Griffin said a subsidy. Is that right, panelists? Is there do we want a more specific answer? Can anybody give a more specific answer of what job coaching it might be? Is that right, you guys? I need help from my experts.
It kind of could be both.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had you all muted. All right. Say that again. We have subsidy or could be a special condition if OOD pays.
Yeah.
Which one's the winner?
It could be either or.
Okay, Carrie Griffin, what do you want next? We'll go back. Here we go. What is a special condition? There you go. I guess I could have just done that. I'm sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. All right. So Carrie Griffin, which one would you like? Or maybe we pick somebody else. There we go. SSI versus SSDI for 100. Thank you, Carrie. Which benefit is based on need? All right, we've got answers already. Olivia McMasterson says SSI. Look at all those right answers up there. I love it. You guys are awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go with the first person I see that answered it correct, and we'll say that's Olivia McMasters. Olivia, what shall we do next? All right. Olivia McMasters. This is where we don't have to really slow this down. I could have a panelist choose.
Well,
Kim
I was going
Bernard.
to say, Lisa, you turned your volume all the way down, so we don't hear the Jeopardy music at all. Did you mean to do that, or were you just trying to make it quieter?
I don't know what I'm doing. I did
It's
turn it down.
okay.
It's because of the way that I'm doing this.
It's
And
all
pick one
good.
for me.
I will gladly. Let's go to EPE for 500.
Ooh, she's going hard. You guys be ready. Anne's trying to get us going. All right, here's the music. This is the SGA if you are blind in 2025. Oh, did anybody take notes? We have somebody answering. Olivia McMasters is back on 2,700. Let's see the answer. What is 2,700? Oh, Rebecca Baker was close. Caitlin got it also. Way to go. So the music stops when I push the answer, but we will go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and call on Christine. Pick another one, Christine. It works best if our panelists do this.
Okay, miscellaneous for 100.
Oops, sorry. I forgot to give you guys points. You guys got all kinds of points. Miscellaneous for, you know what? We have to go miscellaneous for 500 because I gave free
Okay,
spots up
sure.
until.
That's
Let's see
fine.
what 500. This is going to be a tough one, everybody. Miscellaneous for 500. Uh-oh.
What?
I think it's the same question. We gave you the answer first. Who can tell me? What is 2,700? SGA blind. Look
And
at that. That's
SGA blind. Yeah.
way to go, Caitlin. Oh my goodness. You guys did it. All right. We're going to do a couple more.
Didn't
I'm
know
giving you
that
a bunch
would
of
be like
points here.
that.
All
We're
right.
just checking to make sure they were paying attention. That's it.
All right.
Success, you all. They are on it today.
They are. I was going to say we're making it hard. Okay, well, let's do one more. And what's the next one we're going to do?
Let's go subsidy versus special for 100.
Oh, she's going to make it easy. A support on the job provided to you by the employer is this. Let's see what we get going on. Up. Accommodations, job coaching, extra time, subsidy. Let's see what it is.
I feel like Pat
Subsidy.
Britton with the actual answer as a question. Excellent job.
You guys are doing great. It's very hard to figure out what the real answers are. So all of you are right, but I will do a shout out to Carol, who put subsidy in first, which was really the right way. And all right, we're going to go ahead and do a couple more because you guys are doing great on time and you are so fast. We're just getting the hang of it. Who wants to throw out another one, panelists? One of you guys pick something for me.
How about trial work period for 400?
Trial work period for 400. The amount of earned income needed to count as a trial work period month. We got some guesses coming in. I think we should just make anybody that does this as a job. So far, only one guess in. Up to. Okay, there we go. We got a couple more. Okay, let's see what the answer is.
160.
Oh, did anybody get that right?
This is trial work
No.
period, not SGA.
No,
Okay.
they didn't.
Uh-oh, we got a minus. There you go. Oh, no, I did a plus. There we go. We're down to 900, guys. Come on. That was, anybody need to explain that one for you? The difference? Because a lot of people were guessing that one wrong. Kim,
Well,
you
just so
started
you know,
this.
the trial work period is what happens when you're on SSDI and you go through the 9 months of trial work period. It doesn't have to be consecutive months before you go into this cessation period prior to losing your check if you're going over substantial gainful activity. So the trial work period months are $1,160 a month.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. Thanks,
Mhm.
everybody. We know
but
it's hard.
also when you lose you're done with that trial work period and you could lose your SSDI, that's where the subsidy comes in to make the person not feel like they're going to go over. So
Gotcha.
having that.
All right, Christine, what should we do another one for? What's the next one?
How about this SSI versus SSDI for 200?
All right. Which benefit has limits on income and resources?
Think
Somebody already
everyone
put
would
them
know
in.
this.
All
Yes.
right, we got an answer. Let's see what they're right. Correct,
Yes.
everybody. How much was that one? 300? Oh, I can't even do plus and minus. Look at that. Way to go. Awesome. Good answers. All right. All right, Christine, what's next?
How about trial work period for 300?
Okay, trial work period for 300. Do trial work period months need to be consecutive? Woo, look at all those no's. Let's see the answers. Yes, good job. Isn't this fun? That was for 200. Oh, God, I can't. There we go.
I tell you, what if we did this kind of thing technically live
I know. Wouldn't it be
in
fun
the
if we had like
game
the
room
buzzers?
in the
Look at all those no's.
SSA
You guys are
track?
awesome. So
It's
I
like,
will say, Julia, you were the first one on that one to put out a no. Thank you, Julia. I'm not even gonna try to say your last name, but I love it. All right. And oh yeah, Rebecca just said it'd be a blast to do it live. So let's do one more before we go to any other Q&As. If you guys have other Q&As, please go ahead and put them in that Q&A section so we can get to that. All right, Christine, what's going to be our last one for the Jeopardy game?
EPE 200.
All right, let's go. EPE. What is the length of the extended period of eligibility? I'm just so proud I know what that is. What is the length of the extended period of eligibility? All right, we've got a couple answers. They're pretty consistent. Let's see. What is 36 months? Look at all those. I
Yeah.
see nothing but right answers out there. And the first, Julia
Well, there
answered
was one
first.
3-month, but she may have tried to put 36-month
Yeah,
in.
Caitlin, we'll assume that. And Carol did a great job. Pat, lots of people in there. So thank you to everyone for that. I am going to put a link. This is actually a Jeopardy game that is available to anybody that has the link for it. And it's currently correct as far as I know for 2025. We made it for us. So I will put that link in the chat box if you wanted to kind of look through it and test yourself or share it with coworkers. It's kind of a fun way for those basics. I will go ahead and stop sharing.
I love how competitive you all got. That
I
was
know.
fantastic to watch.
Yes. I love it. All right, so we're looking if there's any other questions in the Q&A. This is a great time to kind of ask those questions. I will go back to the one question that we kind of started answering, and that was if somebody is working in a vocab setting and making money, I think there was questions about whether that was available for work subsidies, maybe, Anne, and whoever was looking at that.
Yeah, can we just from I'm gonna before we start diving into that, I wanted to just make a comment that if you are not seeing the questions in the Q&A as they get answered, they move over to answered. So you may
Yes.
need to just adjust your screen a little bit. So sorry for the step back for the logistics.
No, that's a good point.
So you may need to click on your side of it, it's going to say something like my questions or all questions, and then there should be a tab that says answered and dismissed. So
Yeah.
if somebody put in, I saw there was one who you were answering our Jeopardy game in the Q&A, and so that one got dismissed. Things like that.
Yeah, we just dismiss it. It's nothing personal, right? Like it's
no big deal. Okay, so now that you all know where to look for some of these questions, wanted to go back to, I believe it was Winston's question. I'm scrolling. Winston says, I'm actually in the process of doing one of these right now. I was curious, what would you check for an individual who earned money while participating at a day program? Just to clarify, people served by our system cannot earn money in an adult day program. So that should not happen. Thank you for Lisa for clarifying. Winston meant vocational habilitation program, in which case, sure, some people might be doing tasks, and Winston clarified in the dismissed section. So some tasks like developing skills while cleaning an office at the program, taking out the trash, shredding paper, and there's some skill building that vocational habilitation program is paying for that skill building component. Words matter. That is not a job. Vocational habilitation is a paid Medicaid service and not considered competitive integrated employment. So we would not have that in all of the calculations that our panelists were sharing about today. But while people are under Medicaid billable services, those are intended to be skill building so that they can get to competitive integrated employment. Anything our panelists want to add to that?
No, you said it good.
And if they are attending a vocational habilitation program and earning money, if they are receiving SSI, you still would have to report it. Because it is still considered earned income despite it not being competitive community employment.
Or if it's similar to like group employment, where they're at a work site, but it's ran through a organization, and they have supports there all day, like a job coach or staff that's supervising them from that organization, then you could also note that information they're receiving on the job supports.
If this is
Right.
Margaret chiming in, I think that Social Security still calls it sheltered employment in their lingo. If it's in that type of a situation, even though sheltered is a very old world word in our world.
Yeah. Well, like they have in ARC Industries, they have a lot of this janitorial crew that works in hundreds of buildings across Franklin County, that gets paid hourly, but it's a cleaning crew.
I usually share
That's
with families and
enclave.
And I think they consider all of that type of thing sheltered employment is what I've always been told here.
Well, with a subsidy, you're comparing somebody working at a community employment with a job description that somebody without a disability is also working. So you're comparing how much, how much of the job description are you able to do with a disability than somebody without a disability, and that doesn't work for vocab. This is a lot of these impairment-related work expense and subsidies have to do with community employment.
Yeah, I think it's really
Yeah.
important that we talk about the fact that anytime somebody earns money, it is reportable. You need to report the money. But what we're talking about today is the subsidies and things regarding community employed competitive integrated employment. So so just keep that in mind. Yes, you always need to report wages if you're on SSI. But I don't want to sound like I'm smart, by the way. I just got to be quiet.
Well, the one thing that's very confusing right now is that you have to be scheduling to go into Social Security, and it's almost like a 90-day window to get in there, because you can't just walk in anymore. You have to be getting scheduled in, is how it is, which is
I will say that we have quite a
complex.
few. Rebecca, we're going to go ahead and answer what we can regarding your question. Have you heard of in-kind support through Social Security? But it does seem that you have some specific questions that we might follow up with you. So if I don't know who wants to take that question, if it's Jean or not.
So basically what in-kind support is, if somebody's going to receive SSI benefits and they're living at home with a family, the federal benefit rate this year for each month is $967 a month. So say I'm 22 years old and I'm going to apply for SSI benefits. I have a disability and I live with my family. They're going to ask, and there's 4 people in my family. They're going to ask, what is my fair share of the household expenses? So if there's 4 of us living in the house, I would have to pay 1/4 of the mortgage or rent, the utilities and food. The $967 a month that I would possibly get from SSI if I'm deemed disabled If the $967 a month is not enough for my fair share, say my fair share is $1,200 a month, Social Security is going to deduct about $300 a month off of my SSI check saying I'm receiving in-kind support. My family's still supporting me because $967 a month would not pay my fair share. The $967 a month paid my fair share, I would get the full amount. So that's in-kind support. It's not really much to do with working. It's just SSI benefits.
Thanks.
You're
And
welcome.
certainly we can reach out. Kim, you can reach out if I think it was your name was Kim, if you need more information. But yeah, it's definitely more of a related to housing and general Social Security. So I love Tom's comment, by the way, in the chat box. He talked about how the conversation really highlights the importance of how everybody's situation is unique. And it's really important that if you have any questions, you either help them find out through resources or get connected with a certified planner, work benefits analysis, all those people, because, and that's kind of, you'll see we have a whole session on benefits analysis and how important it is for anybody that is contemplating work or working or, has that done, because then you can really look at that particular individual and their unique situation. And just put Jean Emke's email out there. So
Yeah, so I happen to know where Rebecca's coming from. So it's within myself and Jeannie's region, and we are your point of contact for questions like this. And I will say Jeannie will probably be the one to have the right answer in terms of the specifics within the nuances of that case. But to Tom's point, speaking from a general perspective is sometimes a little dangerous, and we may not be able to give accurate information in this large context. So that's why sometimes we say, call us, let's talk through it, because we want to know the nuances to make sure we give you accurate information.
And to add to what Ann was sharing regarding accuracy, just keep in mind when it comes to these subsidies and work incentives, they're not going to be applied until I'm sorry, not all the work incentive, but the subsidies and special condition is not going to be applied until someone is over the SGA limit. That's when Social Security is going to take all that information into consideration. So if they're under, for example, for 2025, if they're under $1,620 gross per month, then Social Security is not going to even pretty much look at the information. You can definitely gather the information for sure, because at any time someone can work a little bit over, but I just wanted everyone to be aware that it's not going to be looked at until someone is earning over that SGA limit for that particular year.
Okay, I was just looking back at the other questions to see if there was anything we should point out, since there's no new questions in the chat box. While you guys all look through that, or just a reminder that there's a couple tweaks to the slideshow that we want to make before sharing it out to the PowerPoint. So we'll be making those tweaks along with a recording that will be on the Ohio Employment First website under the Fear Factor section. So that's where you'll get your things there. And there was something else I was going to remind you about. There's past ones there, lots of information there about benefits analysis and all that. Tom just mentioned in the chat box that we're lucky to have more than 150 certified planners across the state. And so that is something we just recently got to do our very first live Fear Factor session for some folks across the state. And we talked about it would be great if we could get a really easily accessible database for that. We don't really have it, but you do have folks at the department who are more than happy to help figure it out, and or lots of counties do have that. So you can kind of look at your county, ask if we know of anybody in surrounding counties that might do some of that. And then there are private folks that do that. We usually have Dorinda Gear on here, who is left the county system and is now a consultant, and she does it there, that you can contract with her too. So, all right. Make sure.
One more question.
Yep. I thought I
Uh,
heard that if you earned a specific amount in the year, no matter if all 3 quarters, you can earn all 4 quarters for the year. Is this correct? Help me, experts.
Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry, Lisa.
I thought Julia, we might need a little more clarification because what you're talking about, I think I know I don't know what you're talking about, but I heard what you heard maybe. I thought I heard that if you earned a specific amount in the year, no matter whether it was throughout the whole year or all 3 quarters, you can earn for that year. So it's more of about amount versus how long you worked throughout a year. I don't know, Latasha, Jeannie, you gotta.
I think I think what that
Okay.
means, what that question is, this is Margaret again. I don't know if anybody can see me.
Yeah.
You don't have to earn them in the quarters. You used to have to years and years ago. They still call them quarters or credits, but you can earn it at any time of the year as long as you're hitting those benchmarks. Is that
And
the answer
yep,
to the question?
I don't know.
Person asking?
She said I meant not within 4 quarters, but I think yeah, that's what I think she was talking to.
Okay.
Of course, now people are asking questions. So hold on, answer. We still have a couple minutes, so we're okay. So Winston's asking really meaningful questions here. Thank you, Winston. And wondering if we know of any changes coming up pending the political climate going on right now.
I
Anybody
can
want to
say something that only based on what I watch out on, and that is that there's so much confusion where people have been asking, they have a very confusing definition out there, able-bodied, because the thing is, some people don't know what able-bodied stands for. Does that mean if you can walk, you're able-bodied? If you're not, if you're in a wheelchair, you're not, or what? Okay. My point is that there's mixed messages about work requirements. They don't, like I've talked to Dorinda, she knows this. They say the short version up front, the sentence, everyone has to work to get Medicaid. But then they have these exemptions, but they're way down in the rules, way down tiny to where you can't see it. And it's like, well, we need a cheat sheet for these families and individuals and doctors and so on, so that people can know, oh, hey, they're in this program, so they aren't required to be working like this. They're in this X situation. Because part of being person-centered, I just want to point that out, that there is so much people contacting my friend Ruben and I. They are freaked out, like, am I going to lose my Medicaid? Is the US government going to try to go 50 years backwards and put people back in institutions? It's ridiculous.
Well, I think I think your point, thank you, Christine, and you of all people have every right to share your feelings about it, and we definitely are all keeping track of it. I think we really don't know is the answer to the question. We don't, as far as we know, getting people to work is always a great plan. I think that we haven't heard anything that would make us not want people to be out working in community employed jobs. That is a good,
No,
great thing. So
of course, we want
right.
people
So
to
I
work.
think that's all we know, but as soon as we hear anything differently between the Department of DD, OACB, we're really trying to keep tabs on all of that. And if there's any changes in any of that kind of information, the Fear Factor group will definitely share it out. That's one thing great that our group has done, is really try to stay on top of things and make sure that we're staying current. So appreciate that question, Winston. We want to wrap it up because we know people want to be respectful of everybody's time. So, Anne, I think on that point, I will go ahead and we'll just
The
take over.
next episode for you all to tune in, August 27th, 1 p.m. to 2:30. The topic that will be covered is what to do when things go wrong. So talking about appeals and payments. So we look forward to having you back again and another excellent conversation with our amazing panelists to cover this next topic. Thank you all for being here today and for your engagement, especially with our game. That was fun. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely, and thank you. And remember, if you need SSA CPDUs, you'll get an email in the next 24 to 48 hours to claim them, or you can check Member Connect. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me directly or Ian Tapia. So we appreciate you all. I can't wait to see you in August. It's my daughter's birthday. Bring a piece of cake with you to party because I will be celebrating my daughter's birthday right after we get off the meeting. So. All right. Thanks, everybody. We're going to go
Thanks,
ahead.
everyone.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna